Welcome to another Worlds of Wow Facebook Live. We are in this series, we've been discussing creating playful worlds for all. And for the month of June, we are talking all things play. Specifically for us, we are the experts in creating indoor playgrounds around the country. That also includes areas of inclusion, creating spaces for children and, quite frankly, adults of all abilities to play. So today we are going to be actually designing a play area live. We have with us Kevin Cravens. Kevin is the creative director at Worlds of Wow, and Kevin has an amazing team, but Kevin's also amazingly talented at what he does and has been designing and theming areas for well over 20 years. So we're super excited to have Kevin with us again today. And Kevin, with that, without further ado, take it away. Tell us what we will be working on, what you'll be designing, and quite frankly, what we all want to see is you drawing today.
Sure. Thanks, Todd. So I think like Todd said, we're going to just spend the next 30 minutes and see if we can come up with a play area that's engaging for kids. And really based off of last week, talking to Tom and Stuart and understanding that play is just built into us as human beings. Really try to create a space that's for mom and dad as well, and just really kind of get us all into that playful space, right? So I'm going to, so I prepped in this, came up with this room. I popped in one of our indoor play units, like you've mentioned. I mean, I think maybe in a couple of series later, maybe we'll come to put in this one as well, a little different. But I was just gonna start drawing, kind of mapping it out, thinking through it, maybe come up with some ideas and see what happens when we get to 10:30. Sound good?
Sounds like a plan. Let's do it. Hey, by the way,
All right.
if you have any questions, feel free to message us on this Facebook Live as well. Any questions as well beyond what we're drawing or discussing, any questions about us designing an indoor playground or theming your space, whether you're a church, you're a family entertainment center, YMCA, military base, mall, museum, and we do it all. And we have, you can see the questions email below, hello@worldsofwow.com. So feel free to message us there directly. But again, if you have any questions about what we're doing, this is designed and really created to be interactive. So feel free to reach out to us. And the only thing we ask is keep it relevant, keep it on topic, and that way we can address your questions. Kevin?
There you go. Yeah, like you said, Todd, I mean, I think this is a room that could be used for a whole lot of different spaces, businesses, churches, or whatnot. But the goal is this will be a space for your community, no matter where you are and what you're about. So just, always starting to think through this kind of kind of dovetails off some of where we started with like the themes areas. But, just assuming that the entrance is right here, that's always kind of a critical place to start, because when somebody walks through those doors, they're going to have that first impression, right? And as we know, first impressions are kind of a big deal, right? So just kind of starting there, I'm just going to say, while we're talking about it, I'm going to say, let's do a woodsy outdoor look and feel. Doesn't mean we necessarily have to have like animals all over the place. I would say, like we've talked about trends, it is more interior design approach, maybe a little more graphic, that sort of thing. But certainly, I mean, kind of identifying it, with a theme allows us to, kind of apply some colors and shapes and textures that would really kind of, kind of evoke those feelings of a woodsy outdoor scene. So one thing I'm going to do, and, just real quick, while I am filling out some other stuff, I'm going to drop some windows back here. And Todd, this would be maybe for anybody doing a renovation or a new build, but I know you always have really good thoughts about, man, if you're going to make this sort of investment for your space, making sure that the community knows about it. So I'm going to pop in some windows there. And if you want to talk about the value of having a wall of windows or even going around the corner.
Yeah, it's a great point, Kevin. Visibility is really important, especially when you're going to invest in a structure like this. You want people to know about it. And one of the best ways to do that is to have windows of any height. Ideally, if you can have, very tall windows that display the entire space, especially at night, if your play area can be lit up. Again, it's a great opportunity and a great way for you to advertise to your community. Again, doesn't really matter what type of business you are. It's it's very, very effective, great strategy. And quite frankly, a lot of times we put branding on the back side of those units, or maybe it's the front side. So as people are driving by, whatever company you are, it's branded. And it's a great way, again, to market who you are and what you're doing. One of the things, especially when it comes to an area like this, it's, you don't want to be the best kept secret in town. You want people to know, what you have, because it is quite a draw. It really is. And again, when you think about indoor playgrounds, outdoor playgrounds, one of the great benefits of an indoor playground, especially, I grew up in the north in Pennsylvania, and we had snow starting really in November. And I remember a lot of times snow would finally go away in April. So, having a resource like this, or I now live in Texas, and it's hot a lot. So in the summer months, no kid wants to go out and slide on the slide because it's so hot. And this is a great opportunity for kids and quite frankly, as we're learning, kids and parents to play. So yeah, windows are really, really helpful, especially when it comes to the revelation of what you have inside here.
Yep. There you go. All right. So I just, we're doing that. Just kind of going off the idea of a woodsy outdoor theme. I think maybe start with green carpet. These play units, a lot of times, I think what you see a lot, so you see that our play units a lot, and it's just like random colors everywhere, right? And I think for some churches, or anywhere these players are, that's a great solution. I mean, it's bright, it's lively. I think kids, color can really kind of activate the imagination. But I think what we've seen and what we try to do is be a little more intentional with the color, and even with color, try and tell a little bit of a story. It's kind of focusing in a little bit. So just with that in mind, if we're doing a woodsy outdoor theme, I'm just already starting to imagine the slide as a waterfall, right? And then, these paths is kind of the river. And so just thinking with that, I am going to, assuming we had some options to really have some fun with the carpet, I'm going to continue to carry that river that came off the waterfall onto the floor.
Kevin, if you would, why don't you talk about some of the flooring options? Because I think we've created some pretty amazing spaces over the year, and we've done, and we've really captured the environment with thematic elements in the ceiling, walls, and the floor. So talk about some of the flooring options. I think that's really important for people to understand. You can do a lot with the floor and incorporating the design into the floor, whether it's carpet or it's a rubber poured in place, or other options. So, but if you maybe just elaborate on that a little bit.
Sure. So yeah, there's all kind of options. I mean, I think one pretty typical is carpet squares or some sort of vinyl tile, and that I think I'm going to kind of go off of that idea that we're using carpet squares and maybe some vinyl tiles to kind of work with this. But there's still really opportunities just with the color and how you lay it out to really kind of build a theme or build an idea, or really kind of make the floor, rather than just something that's there that everything's on top of, make it an active part of the environment and of getting kiddos' imaginations going, right? So that's a good starting point. I mean, there's other options like printed carpet. To be frank, you're going to bust the budget pretty quick by doing printed carpet, and really that would allow us to go in and instead of like this straight line with carpet squares, for the river, like with a printed carpet, man, you can go in and you can have like a winding river and kind of have a river bank and, flowers, rocks, that sort of thing. Right. So it's a lot of fun. We've done that. But again, got to make sure it's worth the budget spend. You want to apply most of your budget there. Trying to think other options. We've done poured in place as well. That's a great. I mean, provide some cushioning, but it's kind of like carpet squares and the vinyl tiles. You can do simple shapes. But I think more than anything, if you've been following along for the past several weeks or month and a half or so, is no matter the direction you go, it's the really kind of trying to be a little intentional with it. And so again, just kind of what I'm doing here with the carpet squares, I'm going to kind of use kind of the theme we built out, kind of come up with something. Now, did I miss anything on the flooring, Todd?
No, I think that that captures it. I mean, quite frankly, when we design spaces like this, really the starting point for everybody's budget. Like, what is your budget?
Yep.
And if you have a large budget, there's a lot of really fun things we can do. But even if you don't have a big budget per se, there's still a lot we can do, and we can still be creative. And I think it's, again, what I always talk to or say to clients when you're designing this space is, man, design it, and let's go back to when we were kids. Let's think about a place that would be really fun for a kid, because a lot of times design spaces and what they have in mind isn't always what a kid would really enjoy. So, but again, just circling back to your point, Kevin, yeah, budget is key, but we can tailor design and, quite frankly, the material that we use based upon the budget of our clients.
Sure. So so I dropped in a few other things. I'm kind of playing with this idea of the river, and I kind of see where I'm going here in a second. And then kind of that first impression is some sort of wood flooring. I guess I kind of imagine, maybe you've stepped out of your cabin or stepped onto a trail. And then what I really want to kind of try to do here is now, right off the bat, I'm going to start putting some stuff in the carpet. I'm going to take some of these carpet squares and make them gray to symbolize rocks. So now, we have the opportunities for the kiddos as soon as they get in there, or parents, man, if you want to kind of have this to get across the river into the whatever we would brand this area as. So let me just do this real fast.
While you're drawing that, Kevin, if you're just joining us, we are Worlds of Wow, and we are actually today we are drawing and theming an indoor play area, and there's all kind of ideas and approaches to how to do this. We've been doing this for 17, getting close to 18 years, creating playful worlds for all, and this whole month we are focusing on the importance of play. And one of the things that we've been learning is that our brain is hardwired, and and having elements of play in our lives is just as important as breathing and walking. We're designed to play, and whether that's play recreationally or that's playing. One of the things we learned, the importance of swinging on a playground, how incredibly beneficial that is to the development of a brain, especially for a child. So anyways, we're talking all things play. Kevin is drawing and creating and designing an indoor play area. Kevin, one of the things I think probably that gets missed quite a lot is seating for parents, because what do parents do when their kids play? Most of the time they sit and they're on their phones. So when I'm talking to clients, quite frankly, a lot of times it's, hey, we have this room, we have this space, and we want to put an indoor playground in there. And almost always I'm asking the question, okay, so where are the parents going to sit? So if you could address that, maybe talk through that a bit as well. That'd be really helpful.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up. It's about ready to go there. So I was just throwing some colors. Again, I think anytime you design an area, like start big, start broad, start with the big detail before you start getting into the specific smaller details. Yeah, and I was thinking about it while I was dropping in some of these colors, and typically I think for a lot of these areas, if some thought is given to the parents and what they would be doing, it's and maybe drop it in a cafe area, putting some seating, some cafe tables in there, giving mom and dad a place just to kind of visit with each other and relax while their kiddos are doing it. But kind of going off last week, with Tom and Stuart, and just really beginning to understand that play is important for all of us. I'm wondering, maybe think through some ideas, I guess, right now of what that seating area could look like, right? We're not looking like necessarily here's an obstacle course for mom and dad, right? I mean, I know when I take my kids somewhere, like it is to kind of relax, right, and let my kids burn some energy for sure. But knowing that, just creating that sense of joy, that playfulness is important for parents as well as kiddos. I'm kind of wondering, we've got the woodsy theme. We have, let me do this real fast. Got the woodsy theme. We have, want to do something playful with the seating. So I think instead of just some kind of generic benches and, maybe a cafe station, let me do this real fast. I'm going to kind of continue to build on this idea of the river going through the space. Right. And I am going to make a seating area for mom and dad. So let's see. So maybe instead of just some generic cafe tables, let's drop in some picnic tables.
I love the blue in the river. I can imagine as a kid, I'm going to be hopping over that from green to green, so my feet don't get wet.
Yep.
Or maybe, I'm going to splash my parents and run down through the water. So it's amazing how we can make, a static design immersive just by doing some really creative and throwing in some creative aspects on the floor. I think that's fantastic.
Exactly. So I'd say, I see it a lot, sometimes kind of designing a room and we're going to do something fun with the carpet, but a lot of times that just means a gray carpet with some random colored squares. And again, if that's, what works for you and your church, like I think go for it or whatever your environment is. But I just think, like you said earlier, the floor, the ceilings, all these other parts of the room and in the environment can just play an active part in creating this playful atmosphere, right? So again, I think that it looks good, but now you're paying for the carpet anyways. Now you're paying for the carpet to look good and to provide some safety, but also now it's play value, right? Mm-hmm. So you've just this budget out is beginning to make a little more sense. So we'll put some picnic tables in here, and then I'm going to do this real fast. I'm gonna try and find a. Let's see. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Okay. I'm gonna pull this picture. Let me pull this over.
While Kevin's doing that, if you're just joining us again, we are designing. We're live here an indoor play area, and we have an indoor playground. And Kevin is adding really, which is his specialty, all the really fun elements that go into creating an amazing environment. And as you can tell, there's a lot of thought, a lot of intentionality behind it. One of the things we'll be talking about here in a few weeks is compliance and all the things that we can and can't do based upon code and law and ordinances and all of that fun stuff. So if that's you and you're looking at, hey, we're thinking about creating an indoor play area, what can or what can't we do? We'll be talking about that here in a few weeks. So be sure to join us. But again, you're joining Worlds of WOW live as we are designing an indoor play area.
No, that's great. And, that play area where it is right now, it's there for a very specific reason. You might be looking at it and, it seems like we could go a whole lot bigger or, shove it up against the wall to open up more of the room. But we'll get into that the next couple of weeks. And it's knowing the codes and working with somebody who does know all the codes and knows how to be compliant. One, the intention is to keep kiddos safe. Two, the last thing you would want after, investing in a room like this is to go with somebody who maybe doesn't understand how to make it compliant or maybe kind of try to skirt some of the issue and have the fire marshal or somebody else come in and shut you down, right? Like it happens. And so, it's important to know those things and to work with somebody who does really know how to get creative, within the sandbox of compliance, right? So I'm kind of, Todd, just thinking of something fun for the kiddos. So rather than just kind of theming the kids area, really kind of sticking with that woodsy outdoor theme and kind of playing with the idea of almost kind of like you're on the lake, right? And I can kind of picture maybe at dusk or sunset and parents have that opportunity to visit, whether it's an Adirondack chair or Adirondack chairs. Did I say that? Adirondack chair?
I think you nailed Adirondack, Kevin. I think
there we go. All right. And then some picnic tables. Again, I guess if we're talking about, man, maybe some things we can do with the ceiling. I'm gonna try to scribble in a quick ceiling element here. So again, it's not like we're coming up with something for like mom and dad to jump around and go crazy, but really, rather than just some sort of generic seating area, come up with something that I think would be fun to sit in and maybe have a little, I think kind of get us into that playful state even as adults.
Yeah, again, we're thinking in terms of playful worlds for all. Parents like to be a part of, immersive environments too. And one of the things we talk about often is, understanding your audience. And so we're really designing spaces, and we have two generations of parents we're focusing on. That's the Generation Z parent and the millennial parent, and they really value the experience. So you think about that, and again, you're thinking about marketing and branding your space. This is a great way, because what parent isn't going to take a picture of their kid in this space, right? And this is already, incredibly inviting. And again, Kevin, maybe since if you're just joining us, talk about the type of design that you're creating, as far as you'd mentioned woodsy. So talk about that a little bit,
Sure.
and it's in regards to why you're creating it to look like this.
Sure. Yeah, so I think randomly just kind of came up with that idea. We had this blank room, just let's see if we can uh, like a woodsy outdoor sort of experience, right? It's not, again, let's put a bunch of murals on the wall necessarily, but I think of woodsy outdoor, I think of browns, I think of woods, I do think of grass and hills and rivers and skipping stones across the river and that sort of thing, right? So it's more to kind of influence just I get the shapes, colors, textures, layout of the room, right? And so that's a great way to start. And I think, if you can get and understand the idea that, picking a theme or inspiration point doesn't necessarily mean, again, we're going for Disney World or characters all over the wall, but rather something that just kind of influence the overall look and feel. And I always think that's a great place to start, right? And that helps focus. We work with a lot of people. They typically have a lot of, more than one person is making decisions on the team, right? And so if you can start with the story and start with some pretty solid inspiration points, then that helps kind of focus the conversation, the development. And a lot of people are going to have a lot of really good ideas, but if you don't have a foundation, to kind of build off of, then you're going to come up with a whole lot of competing ideas, and you're going to come up with a carpet with random colors, and again, a play unit looks like a confetti explosion and that sort of thing, right? So really just kind of that inspiration point is a great way to focus the development a little bit. So I think with woodsy, a lot of times just kind of drawing things out, see what happens. I think we could very easily, the browns or whatever. So these chairs, I'm not even gonna attempt to say what they are anymore. Todd, you can jump in.
Yeah, we were using the word Adirondack.
Adirondack. Okay, there we go. I got it. But I'm gonna I'm gonna throw in some pops of color. I think so. I'm gonna throw this red on there. Just on that one.
When we're laying out spaces, and I think we both touched on this earlier, Kevin, but knowing parents are going to be on the phone, a lot of times we will create charging stations for the kiddos, or for the parents to be charging their phones while they're playing, because sometimes these kids are playing for an hour or more in a space. So really, one of the beautiful things about what we do at Worlds of Wow is, if you can imagine it, we can create it. And quite frankly, if you can't imagine it, we can help you with the layout of a space. So again, here we're talking about a woodsy outdoor design inside, and really, and Kevin, I'm not sure where you're taking the design, but I know we oftentimes will add thematic elements to the play area and make it look like, whether it's a tree house or it's I know the castle wouldn't fit here per se, but or maybe it would. Maybe it's a castle that's in the woods. Who knows? But talk about that as well as you're thinking about how do we add how do we create the indoor playground to really flow with the look and feel of the space.
Yep. Yeah, so we do that quite a bit, add the theming to it. I think for me, again, it's important, yeah, to really, again, start general and then start drilling down. And so, this play unit, again, probably depending on budget and just how it develops, I think probably today's based off the time, it's probably sticking to color. And again, just getting really intentional with the color. That should allow us to tell a story. And then I think if we can do that, anything on top of it, we could do this real fast. So, again, just with these vinyl pads, I'm going in there, and if you can imagine, if I'm a kiddo, I'm jumping in here, ground level is kind of grass, this, we call it a moonwalk, a little bit of a challenge to get up. I could picture that as kind of boulders or rocks, right? And now you're up here, maybe it's a mix and match of those vinyl paths or rocks and grass, and then get you to the waterfall, right? Which is the ultimate destination. But, if we wanted to keep going, for sure, we could, you could frame it out. We could add, boulders around here if we wanted to make this kind of, a waterfall and really kind of carry that even more. Could do something with the shoe keeper here or whatnot. I could frame this out with some wood beams. I guess, we work a lot of times, we do trees a lot. People love trees, kiddos love trees, but, we could, around here, could have like a big knot in the tree. Kiddos can look out, see mom and dad. And then I'm gonna give you another secret. Just like printed carpet can blow the budget pretty quick. If we do a tree, a lot of times, we do silk foliage up top for the leaves. And a lot of times, man, we just want that to be big, beautiful, full canopy. Man, you will bust your budget quick if you do a full canopy, right? But just, we've done so many over the years. We've kind of learned that secret and that balance of still doing the silk foliage, but doing it in a way without going overboard, right? So it's still impactful, but we're not busting the budget, right? So you can kind of even see right here, it's just getting really intentional about how you do that, right? But yeah, if we wanted to do that, you could add a tree there potentially. I'm going to say something else we do quite a bit of. I'm going to pull this in, is we do traverse walls more and more, and we have the ability actually to create custom printed traverse walls, right? So this is one we had worked on for a project. So I thought I'd just pull this in. Let's see. And pop that on there. I probably want to play with the colors a little bit. But that's another great way to, kind of engage, activate part of that space. And I think, probably mom and dad are coming here with some of the younger kiddos, something like this. Really, I think between those charging stations you mentioned and maybe a traverse wall, that's going to get the 10, 11, 12-year-olds moving too and doing something, right? And then, yeah, again, going back to compliance, man, we will talk about this in a couple weeks. Super important, just knowing if you're going to have a traverse wall, kids climbing a wall, you got to know you have to know what that flooring needs to look like, below it for safety. Yeah, I think we're running out of time here, but you kind of see, so I'm going to just kind of list real fast what we did here in the few short minutes that we had. And then I think kind of have one thing to kind of set us up for next week. But what did we do? So I think the big thing is, one, we created a great first impression, right? So instead of somebody walking into the room, and again, it's just this explosion of color because it's 4 kids, so we just think colors everywhere, kind of got really intentional, right? So it's going to be a great first impression because it's going to look great. It's going to be a great first impression because it's not going to look overwhelming when you come in here. It's no longer just this giant room with a bunch of random stuff, right? We've almost created kind of these zones for different things to happen, for play to happen in different ways throughout the room. All right. I'm going to say we came up with some using Stuart and Tom's words from last week. Oh, got my alarm going off. I'm going to say we came up with some playful triggers for the imagination.
Yeah, that's good.
Right. So again, we didn't have to go in here and do a bunch of like literal themes and make it this insanely immersive thing. We can go there; it's not a problem, and it's not a bad thing. But just through the colors and some of the shapes and just some of the seating elements and some few other things, like we've kind of created a story to almost that framework for a kiddo's imagination to go crazy. And then one other thing, we create a space for the whole family. Right. So it's not a play area that's given all this attention and then, oh, here's some seating for mom and dad, or hey, here's this amazing seating area, hangout area for mom and dad, and here there's just a random play unit over there. This is a space for the whole family, right? And then I'm going to wrap this up, Todd. This is going to set us up for next week. So one thing I'm really excited about is we are really passionate being a part of the PlayCore family about inclusion, which is creating playful worlds for kiddos of all abilities. Right. Mm-hmm. And so next week is going to be really, really good, I think, for all of us just to understand kids play, kids communicate in different ways. Right. And so really just by understanding that we can get intentional about our play areas so that, yeah, again, kiddos with all abilities have the ability to do life together as much as possible. And so one thing I just wanted to drop in here real fast is this is one of my favorite things I kind of learned about is jump-in points for play. And so I'm going to take these carpet squares on the floor, which kind of represents rocks. I'm going to take them from being flattened on the floor to dimensional and kind of inhabiting the space in 3D. I'm going to do this real fast. I'm going to put 3 of those in there. Again, my scale may be off on a few of these things, but that's all right. So I'm going to put 1, play value, right? So now it's kiddos are jumping across the river with the carpet squares with rocks, but now they can jump on top of the these cubes, which I think would still represent rocks. But I would also define this as a jump-in point. A jump-in point is an important part for inclusive play. So, if you have some kiddos who maybe have a little bit of social anxiety, who aren't as ready, right off the bat to just jump in there and go crazy with a bunch of strange kids, jump-in points are a great opportunity for that kiddo to feel comfortable detaching him or herself from mom or dad's hip, right? To just kind of finding a spot to sit, maybe observe the fun, kind of check it out, see what's going on, understand it a little bit. And then when he or she is ready, be able to jump in there pretty quick, right? So that's next week. We're going to talk about inclusion and just a lot of those specific things that are really good to know about and think about and implement in these play areas, again, for kiddos of all abilities.
No, that's really great. It's really important. Again, it's designing a play area for kids of all abilities. So important things. And that really, quite frankly, we're learning a lot. And a lot of it has to do with our relationship with PlayCore and the research that they do, the scientific research that they do. And it's incredibly helpful. So really looking forward to having Jenny Sumrell with us next week. We'll be talking really all things inclusion. And that's going to be an incredible episode. So be sure to join us next week as well. Today, again, Kevin, amazing job. Quite the transformation of just a play area and some paint on a wall to making it an atmosphere that's desirable for not just kids, but also adults. And, one thing to think about too, we didn't really touch on this, but, we can create areas for toddlers. We can make playgrounds that are geared more towards the older kids or younger kids, and really each play area has its own set of qualifications when it comes to how the space is laid out and what type of material that we use. So, quite frankly, when we're designing a space, that's one of the things we want to find out from our client, and that is, hey, what age group are we going to be designing this play area towards? Yep. So again, a space like this, you're limited. You can only do so much. Bigger spaces, we have the opportunity to add even more spaces, whether it's toddlers or it's, crawling babies to older kids. Again, it just varies. But for us, again, everything starts with the why. And creating and designing a space is all built around that why, and the who, quite frankly, as well. So, Kevin, great job, man. Fantastic job today. Thank you so much. Anything else you wanted to add as we wrap up?
Nah, I think that's good. I think you got to start with the why, start with the who, and go from there. So it's good. And then, I mean, if you're tuning in today, make sure you tune in next week because it's going to be really good.
Yeah, I agree. Jenny is, man, she's dedicated her life and many, many years understanding children with of all abilities. So it's going to be very impactful, especially if you really want to have an opportunity to reach out into your community, creating a space with children with all abilities is really, really helpful. So again, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for joining the Worlds of Wow Facebook Live. We will see you next week. Have a great weekend. Great weekend, everybody.